A notification lights up a phone at 1 in the morning, and within seconds, a teenager is already awake, already typing back. No alarm went off, no one asked them to respond. It looks like a modern problem, a glowing screen, a habit nobody asked for. But the real reason that response feels automatic goes back far longer than smartphones and has nothing to do with technology. For most of human history, there were no teenagers in the way you'd recognize the word. No school hallways, no curfews. But biologically, that in-between stage, no longer a child, not yet a full adult, existed anyway. Something dramatic happens inside the brain during those years, whether or not anyone names it. So what changes? Neuroscientist Sarah Jane Blakemore has spent years studying the adolescent brain. Around puberty, the brain becomes unusually sensitive to social evaluation. Being noticed, judged, included, or excluded by peers starts to matter intensely, often more than in childhood. This isn't a flaw in the wiring. It's a deliberate shift, prioritizing peer information in a way the younger brain didn't. Why would evolution build something this inconvenient? Because for most of human history, peer relationships weren't a distraction from survival. They were survival. The people you'd eventually hunt beside and depend on for protection weren't your parents, but the peers you grew up alongside. Knowing where you stood with them wasn't trivial. It was some of the most important data a young person could gather. This helps explain something that looks almost reckless. Teenagers across cultures have taken more risks than children or adults, exploring further from camp and pushing physical limits. For a long time, this got written off as immaturity, but that explanation doesn't hold up once you look beyond humans entirely. Biologist Barbara Natterson Horowitz, researching adolescence across the animal kingdom, found a similar pattern in species with nothing resembling human culture. Adolescent animals, from wolves to whales, take more risks and travel further from their birth group than older members. Her work suggests this isn't a malfunction. It's a feature, a built-in dispersal stage, where the young deliberately push outward, away from the safety of the original group. Why would that ever be useful? Because staying too close to home indefinitely creates problems. Animals that never leave their birth group risk inbreeding and stagnant social standing. Adolescents who explore, even riskily, often find new territory, mates, and alliances outside their original circle. For your ancestors, teenagers weren't just lingering near the family fire. They were testing the edges of a world they'd eventually navigate alone. That included physical risk, first hunts, unfamiliar terrain. It also included something more social. Biologist David Bainbridge, who has written on the evolutionary biology of adolescence, argues this stage isn't just a gap between childhood and adulthood. It's its own evolutionary strategy, building social and reproductive skills a person can't develop while still embedded in a childhood role. Courtship, negotiation, status building, none of that can be rehearsed under a parent's direct supervision. It happens, somewhat clumsily, out among peers. This reframes something often treated as a personal failing. Why does a teenager care so intensely about what friends think, sometimes more than their own family? Why does social rejection feel like a genuine threat? Because for nearly all of human history, peer standing functioned as a real threat assessment. Your ancestors who navigated those relationships skillfully built the alliances and reputations that later determined who they hunted with and who they formed families alongside. None of this was random. It was preparation, disguised as distraction. So what happens when that ancient system meets a modern phone? The same neural machinery that once tracked standing within a small group of a few dozen people is now exposed to an audience that never sleeps. A notification isn't just a notification. To a brain built to treat peer feedback as critical survival information, it can register as something demanding an immediate response. The compulsive checking, the sting of being ignored, none of that is evidence of a broken generation. It's an ancient alarm system doing exactly what it was built to do, facing a target it was never designed for. A teenager exploring slightly past where it feels safe isn't malfunctioning. They're running one of the oldest developmental programs your species has produced. So the next time a phone lights up at 1 in the morning and a reply gets sent before anyone's fully awake enough to think, that response isn't about the phone at all. It's a teenage brain treating the people around them as the single most important source of information in the world. Because for nearly all of human history, that's exactly what they were.